8.1 Sequence and Summation Notation Preparation Part 2. So we are going to evaluate each expression. These expressions have factorials. So 3 factorial, if we expand that, is actually equal to 3 times 2 times 1. 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 1 is 6, so this is simply equal to 6. 6 factorial is equal to 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 6 times 5 is 30, 30 times 4 is 120, 120 times 3 is 360, 360 times 2 is equal to 720. Okay, order of operation, we're going to do what's within the parenthesis before we do the factorial. So 6 minus 3 is 3. 3 factorial is equal to 3 times 2 times 1. So 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 1 is 6. 6 factorial, we already figured out 6 factorial is 720. And 3 factorial is equal to 6, so 720 minus 6 is equal to 714. 6 factorial divided by 3 factorial. I'm going to expand this completely, and then I'm going to show you a trick. That's equal to 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, right? 6 factorial. 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, so the last 3 here, 3 times 2 times 1, are going to cancel out with 3, 2, and 1, leaving me 6 times 5 times 4 in the numerator. So the answer is 5 times 4. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 times 4 is 120. Now the trick is to only expand, right, the 6 factorial out until you get a 3 factorial to cancel out. So we would say 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 factorial. And then we would leave the 3 factorial in the bottom. 3 factorial cancels out with 3 factorial, leaving you 6 times 5 times 4, which we already did the math. We get you 120. Okay, now this one we're going to do what's within the parentheses first. 6 divided by 3 is a 2. And 2 factorial is simply 2 times 1, which is just 2. 15 factorial, you need a calculator for that because that's going to be a huge number. And 15 factorial is equal to 1307674368000. So 1,307,674,368,000. Yeah. Okay, so there's not really any trick to that one. Now the last one, there is a trick, right? Because I can expand this 100 factorial to 100 times 99 times. And whenever I get the denominator factorial, 98 factorial, I stop. And that will allow me to cancel out the 98 factorial, leaving me 100 times 99, which gives me 9,900. Now we have to remember the definition of 0 factorial is just 1. So we're going to evaluate each expression. So we have 7 factorial over 3 factorial times 2 factorial. Okay. Now I'm going to expand the 7 factorial until it will cancel out with the larger of these denominator factorials, which in this case would be the 3 factorial. So we have 7 times, 6 times, 5 times, 4 times, 3 factorial over 3 factorial times 2 factorial. Now the 3 factorials cancel out, leaving me 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 all over 2 factorial, which is equal to 2 times 1. So we can actually cancel that 2 out and turn the 4 into a 2. So we finally end up with 7 times 6 times 5 times 2. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 6 is 60. 60 times 7 is 420. There you go. Next one, we're going to use the same kind of trick. We're going to expand 48 factorial until it will cancel out with the larger of 10 factorial and 38 factorial, which the larger one is 38 factorial. So we would have 48 times, 47 times, 46 times, 45 times, 44 times, 43 times 4. This is a calculator problem. 42 times, 41 times, 40 times, 39 times, 38. I did not leave nearly enough room for this problem. Wow. And then we're going to put that over 10 factorial and 38 factorial. So 38 factorials just go away. And 10 factorial, yeah, we're going to need to calculate it for the rest of this problem. And this whole thing is equal to about 6,540,715,896. So you would have wanted to expand it to 10, right? So 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. You could do that. Or your calculator can actually handle 10 factorial, so you should be able to just type that into your calculator. And this you might actually have to multiply through. Many calculators can't actually handle typing in the base original equation, which is the 48 factorial over 10 factorial times 38 factorial. Many times this is going to be too large of a number for your calculator to be able to handle effectively. So if you expand it like this and then multiply, sometimes this works better on your calculator. Okay, let's try the next one. All right, so order of operation. We're going to keep the 4 factorial on top. But 4 minus 2, we do that first. That gives us 2 factorial. We expand the 4 factorial. 4 factorials, 4 times 3 times 2 factorial, which is enough to cancel out the 2 factorial, leaving me 4 times 3, which is 12. Next one is 8 factorial over 8 minus 5 factorial. So 8 factorial is going to be expanded. Now, 8 minus 5 is 3, so we end up with a 3 factorial on the bottom. So we're going to stop expanding 8 factorial when we get to 3 factorial. So that's 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 factorial. And the factorials cancel out, leaving you 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4. So this should be 6720.